I have 5:30, so welcome to the adjusted March meeting of the civics. So a couple administrative things we need to do before we actually get the roll call and agenda. There's a sign-up sheet on the back little cubby thing hanging off the wall. If someone wants to address a public comment at the end of the meeting, they get 3 minutes. It can't be, it's got to be something not covered in the agenda. It can't be a vendetta, a statement, whatever. It could be a question about something or, you know, request more information. It would come back on that. So if someone wants to do a public comment, it's on the side, sign up there. And then we'll go through that at the end. The next thing I want to bring up, and I want to bring it up as part of the public record, because it started back in October, and then our last meeting in January, there was 3 issues that had never, the outcome which it initiated in the Planning Commission had never been defined. So I'm kind of doing this to bring it back on the record, and then maybe it gets addressed in the April meeting. There was 3 issues from October, and those were the McAllister property issue, the Tao property issue, and Goebel's property issue. And the reason I'm bringing this back up is that we can find out and go back to the public, to the people of Yankton County, what the resolution on those was, and then that gives transparency in that as we go forward, gives the aspect that we try to treat everybody the same. So with the people, Zane just walked in. So Brian, if you could do a roll call for us. And
if possible, I'd ask that you could amend the agenda before you approve it to set public comment for sure. It's not on the agenda. And maybe also add administrative in case there's any other questions off the agenda. Then I will do okay, Planning Commission attendance, roll call. Becker?
Here.
Healy? Guthmiller?
Yes.
Goodall?
Yes.
Klimish?
Here.
Koenig? Kreitzinger? Williams?
Here.
Welch?
yes. Okay, so the next item on the agenda, I would like to modify the agenda to actually put on the agenda, as Brian will keep track of the thing, for the public comment on the end, and then any administrative functions that we need to address. And also, I'll put on, and I'll hand it back to you, Brian, the minutes for the January meeting we need to bring back up in April, so we don't forget that. The approve the minutes as they will be on that. Now, the
Is that the January or the February?
actually the January, because we never had a meeting in February.
I thought we had a meeting in February, but not March.
Nope.
This is March.
So we didn't have.
We didn't
we
have
did
one.
not have
Didn't have one in
February.
February or March.
Either. Huh?
March, were you guys, county commissioners were at Pier or something?
It ended up getting canceled.
Yeah, anyway, but that's why it wasn't scheduled that night. So, I also want to thank Brian McGinnis from Planning District 3 for catching the football midfield and try to keep it inside the white lines and that we can move forward. And this was a special called Planning Commission meeting for tonight to take care of some administrative actions that have been around since February and March. So that's how they ended up coming. Now, in past, they we would have like the section, township, range, and the legal description of the property. So, dang, I gotta find my sheet.
Those legals are at the top of each plat, huh?
Yeah, I'm looking for,
The first sheet,
I thought we had it,
agenda?
okay, so the first one is, nodal overlook. I gotta find, where is it?
They're at the top.
That's law, let's see, Bay Cliff Estates, Matheson.
Yeah, it would be that.
Should be the
law.
first one
It
in
would
your
be that
packet.
law.
Very first one, yeah.
Law over.
Law overlook, okay, I see it now. Law overlook plat of lots 1, 3, and 4 of tract A, law overlook subdivision in the southwest 1/4 of the southeast 1/4 of section 7, in the northeast 1/4 of section 18, all in township 93 north, range 56 west of 5th prime meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. So what this is a
Excuse me,
plat.
Moose. Bryce, I thought you said 1, 2, and 3. It's 1, 3, and 4.
Plat. oh,
Plats
sure.
1, 3, and 4, I stand corrected. There is plat of lots 1, 3, and 4 of tract A overlook, law overlook subdivision. Is, Mr. Canolo here?
Yep, I'm here.
If you wanna come up and tell us about the project? I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, basically, you have looked at the project already, back in December, I believe, and it was approved by the county commission here in January. Basically, lot 1, 2, and 3 is what we're platting out. We did sell, or are going to sell lot 3, and then lot 2 is going to be my lot, which I'll plat for myself, and then lot 1 is Greg Reichen's driveway, which we will plat, and then he will own that lot also.
So Greg's house is like over in tract A or something?
Well, that's
right?
that
No, it's
cutout
not.
period, that lot 2, I believe.
Lot 2.
Yeah, right there where it's gonna
Okay.
cut out.
There's 2 lot 2s.
I
but
see that.
There's one on the right. And yours will actually be accessed by
There's a road that,
straight up.
yep, continues on from, I believe it's Vacation Drive, that will continue straight up to those lots. Because we do have preliminary lots down below there, 5 additional lots on that 11 acres.
That's all in tract B though.
Yes, yeah, that's a different tract, of course.
Is there any public comment in favor of this project? Is there any public comment opposed to this project? Back to the Plan Commission for discussion.
This is something we had discussed earlier, a few months ago. And the addition, what we're changing here is an access across the lot 1 where Greg is going to own lot 1, is that correct?
Yes, he's always had his driveway there, but now he will own it
He'll own lot
himself.
1 also, so there doesn't need to be another easement. And it's called out here on the center line where it's gonna be. So therefore, we're really approving something that's been discussed earlier, lots 1, 3, and 4.
That is
And
correct.
the other portion of tract A will still stay in pasture or whatever?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yep.
That being said, I would make a motion to approve this plat as shown.
I'll second that.
Motion by Becker, second by Goodall. Then, Ryan, if we could have a roll call on that plat, acceptance of that plat.
Okay. We'll do Welch,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Flemish,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Becker.
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is Chuka Bay Cliff Estates. This is a plat. This is out by the state park, the main state park on the north side of Highway 52.
Yep.
Plat of Tract A in Bay Cliff Estates located in the west 1/2 of the south 12.91 acres of the south 1/2 of the southwest 1/4 of section 7 and in the west 1/2 and west 1/2 of section 18 lying north of Highway 52 except platted areas known as Tramps 7th edition and except lots 1 and 2 of parcel A and further accepting parcels B and C, McVeigh edition, all being in Township 93 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. Is Mr. Chuka or Ms. Chuka here?
I don't think they were coming because it was already been discussed and approved before. They just needed a signature. That's what I heard from them.
Right, there was confusion about who approved and who signed, and it came into the office with no planning commissioner's signature.
Right, but we had already heard it though.
You had heard it as a planning commission in the final plat?
Or maybe the board heard, or the adjustment heard because we did not need to hear it. Okay. Yeah, you guys.
We've already heard it and approved it.
Yes, because the board of adjustment, we did not need to.
This is one of those situations when the plat came to me with written for planning commission approval, and I can't scratch that, nor can I ask the chairman to sign a document that says the planning commission heard and approved this if they didn't hear and approve it. So it puts us in a difficult situation. So at this point, either redo the plat or you kick it back and just do this today. So this would have set us straight as how the surveyor laid out the plat, and everything will be fine, and the the title company will be comfortable with this plat if we approve it here tonight with the chairman's signature for the planning commission.
I think the first time initially Pat thought the planning and zoning commission didn't even need to hear it.
But the problem is that signature block was on there, and you can't record a plat with a blank
Right, see, this
signature
came in as a plat about a year and a half ago, something like
A
that.
long time ago.
So anyway, then it was platted out because it looks like a giant question mark. And then as each one of these lots was sold off, that's effectively what we're doing here tonight, is that we're approving as it was platted, demonstrating those lots that are identified.
It says 2012, it was actually 5.
No, this, I think.
Up here on top, it says this vacates previously platted lot and one vacate, recorded in the book of S-19, page 428, and filed on July 18, 2012. So this vacates that.
Right, because this is where that little white house is, right out by the state park. There's a dirt road that goes up and it comes back. So it used to have the preliminary before, then it was replatted to this with these lots divided out. Actually, it was later than that, sometime,
No, this was surveyed into 2019.
yeah,
Yeah.
or 18, just,
No, 19. It was for sale. So she bought a second lot, and now they're gonna call it tract A instead of lots 1 and 2.
So they basically did a replat because it's not not lot 1 and 2 anymore.
they're just
Right.
combining.
It's tract
It's
A.
tract A. And
Tract
Pat
A.
didn't see a reason we would
So-
have to go to the commission because it's.
It was a preliminary,
Bigger.
right, right, it was, and it was already identified as a separate lot
The
previously.
portion saying except lots 1 and 2 means it's no longer known as lots 1 and 2. It will be known strictly as tract A.
Yep,
I don't know why she wanted to have it called tract A instead of just leaving it at lots 1 and 2, whatever.
separate identity.
You want that internal lot line to disappear, I'm guessing,
I guess.
and that's how you'd have to do it.
Because then that's where you want to set the house.
The house is there.
The house is there. It's.
Yeah.
House is on the other one. On the other one.
All right. Do you have anything else to add on that, Brian? Then we can go to the public for comment.
No, not at this time.
Is there any public comment for this project? Is there any public comment opposed to this project? With no public comment, return back to the planning commission for any further discussion, and then if there's no further discussion or after discussion, then a motion to accept this new plat.
I'll make the motion to accept this new plat as track A.
I'll second that.
If I may, what was that motion, Jeff?
To accept.
I made the
plan.
motion that
To
we
accept
accept the
plat.
plat as track A.
To accept as track
Second, Becker.
A. Roll call.
Roll call, Brian.
Youth Miller,
Recuse, I am mischievous responsible broker.
Udall,
Yes.
Flemish,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
and Healy recuse. Okay.
Motion passed.
Motion passes.
Plat approved.
The next item on the agenda is a plat, Matheson plat, track 4, Matheson track 5. And are we allowed to do that 3 minutes early, Brian, or should we wait for the 3 minutes?
We are,
We've always waited in the past.
Well, then I'd wait if that's what you've been doing.
That's
but-
what we'll do, keeps it consistent.
is there anything administrative that you have that lasts 4 minutes?
Well, this is a good example of what I have before you. There's really only one plat. But what's before you is, and this is more theoretical and not directly to Matheson's, the situation of a preliminary plat and when you come in for these final plats. So you all approved the preliminary plat. I don't know when that was done exactly. Street Authority did that. When you signed this 13th, oh, this is this plat.
This was just a couple
Preliminary
weeks ago,
plat
platted.
approved. Thirteenth of March. Oh, see, this one is, even the preliminary is kind of
This is a
redone.
brand new one.
Right, and the new one, he's platting lots 5 and 4 and ready to move on with those, but we can talk about that. But this one did bring up a couple questions of, one, we need to clarify this preliminary plat to final plat. And that'll be a discussion for down the road. We also came across the road access issues. That needs to be approved by either DOT, if it's off of DOT, you can't skip it. It has to be approved by the DOT office locally here. And then with the county, I need to coordinate with them as far as when do they get their permit, which not even involves the access, but where that access is going to be. They need to look at both those things. So we need to coordinate, they should have that before the highway superintendent can sign that they have access, because he is the authority for that road. And then townships, you probably just have to go to the supervisor and make sure that they want an approach there where the people want them, mainly for access or safety. So this is something that's bigger and bigger and bigger, and as you know, DOT does not allow accesses.
Right.
Very difficult. So people assume, but we'd rather get that done now, and it has to be done to record the plat. So those are issues that we're running into, and we worked with this entity on this one to make sure that we had everything covered.
One of the things, Brian, with you, you know, at the 50-yard line and jumping in this process. So as we're looking at these administrative functions going forward, something I've seen in the past, and It's not really the planning commission aspect, but I think that it would be a, like, we really need to have like a check sheet, one that identifies the driveway, you know, got signed off by the county guy. Do they actually have potable water accessible to the property? And then, you know, we've ran into people who got lots, and then they're like, what do you mean I can't get water? Because BY says, well, there's no, we don't have any more taps in that area. So, you know, it's not really our job, but it's like to the people buying that, they need to be due diligence and look at these things ahead of time, you know? Even if they don't get it checked off, we should develop part of our thing that when they come back, did you verify this? Did you verify this? Did you verify this? You know, we don't have to do it, but then it's not us that determines if they get water or electric or, you know, anything like that. So just other things is, you know, especially you're playing in the administrative part. So we're now at the time appropriate for, the first thing we're going to talk about is the Matheson Track 4, Matheson Track 5 plat. Plat of Matheson Track 4, Matheson Track 5 in the northeast 1/4, section 6, township 93 north, range 56 west of the 5th meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. Mr. Matheson, if you'd like to come up and tell us about what your project entails. Most of it's self-explanatory, but.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's tracks 4 and 5. Track 4 is a 10-acre piece. Track 5 is a 5-acre piece. It's a total of just over 15 acres, and I'd like to plat those 2 tracks.
Do you have identified driveway accesses on, you know, you got 1, 2, 6, you know, these 6 pieces. Do you have basically how your driveways are going to end up on these plats? I see on 2 of them they are. On 3 and 5 they're kind of identified, but how are we getting to the rest of them?
Well, track 3's got the 40-foot easement on the west side.
Yes.
Track 5 has a 40-foot wide easement that would allow traffic back to track 4. And then if somebody was to purchase track 4, they could choose to put a private drive on there. They could split it and make another 5-acre plat, and then at that point they would have to put an easement in to satisfy the county. The other pieces all have access off the hardtop already. So track 2, there's already a house with an access. Track 1, there's a house with an access. Track 3, there's no house there yet, but that was purchased about 6 months ago, 7 months ago. And then track 6, we're not talking about that at this time, but that's actually, I'd like you to consider that as a pre-plat, and that'd be a piece that I would keep for myself, and that's got access off of the highway there on the side.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr.
Is there a
Matheson?
house on track 5?
No, there's not. Track 4 and track 5 are both bare farm ground currently.
Is there any, thank you, Mr. Matheson.
Yes.
Anyone from the public and that is opposed to this project that would like to address this project? Anyone from the public audience would like to be in favor, speak in favor of this project? If there's no public comment on this project, back to the Planning Commission for further discussion and a motion.
What is the zone? Is this all residential?
Do you know right off what the zoning is on this?
We discussed that zoning is
I think it's low density.
moderate density, I think. Moderate is a 5-acre minimum lots.
Modern
One.
density.
It's a 1 acre, right?
You said some of it was farm ground yet, or?
Yeah, I think it's,
Low.
Brian, I may be wrong, I thought it was low density.
Low density, it is low density.
Then that's a 5. then.
Requires 5.
It's just pasture or something, or what?
No, this is all farm ground.
Unless it's rural
But it's
translation.
But it's not an ag zone. We're correct.
No, moderate
We
density.
can pull it up on Beacon if we want, but
It's in section 6.
even if it's low density, it's above 5 acres. So we can
Just
look.
low density residential. Says low density residential.
Is it low?
That's what.
So then that's why, that 5 acres is still good.
That's what I'm getting.
No, that's not right.
Well,
It's right here, where,
Section 6.
6, section 6, and that
I
is
checked.
low in
Where's this at?
3/4 of
Five
section
acres
6
is fine.
and moderate in the upper left
I
corner,
think unless, we'll see what it says when it goes over.
right here.
Yep. That's what I got.
Yeah, there's a portion of that that is moderate, but it's not that.
There you go.
You know, I mean, that's kind of what that's turning into anyway.
Okay, so there's,
Just as well as moderate.
oh, that's too far. So the highlighted is track 3. Let's spin down a little
There
bit.
you go.
So that pretty much takes in all of them, I believe. Track 3, track 1A, track 2, and this would be the plat right here, it'd be 5.
Yep.
You can almost see the break really close by the color. Track 4, and then track 6 is following that line,
Yeah.
and then
it
kind of
comes back.
diagonals back
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
You could click over there on zoning, and it'll tell us what it's zoned, that was our initial click, way left. No, way over left.
Over on the list.
Oh,
list,
yeah,
There you go.
okay, yeah, turn the zoning, yep,
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
low density.
And that's 5, so he's above that.
Yep, so he's just above that. So we're good on, we spent a lot of time together getting this ready to go.
I make a motion to approve the plat.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please, Brian.
Okay, Matheson. All right, Klimish,
Yes.
Williams,
Williams.
Yes. Sorry, death.
Welch,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes,
Booth Miller,
Yes.
Udall.
Yes.
There we go.
You need
Motion
the and
passes.
second, yes. Did you get that? The motion and second.
Oh, I did not get the motion second.
I made the motion, I think.
Zane seconded.
Zane
Zane
seconded.
seconded it.
Dan was first and Zane second. Gus Miller.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is back to Mr. Matheson on, it's, plat of Matheson Track 6 in the northeast 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 of Section 6, Township 93 North, Range 56 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota.
We're not plating anymore, are we? No. It's a pre-plat, so it's a preliminary plat of that lot. It's not a full plat.
Right.
Okay.
Preliminary plat, I'm sorry, correction there. Preliminary plat. We actually probably should have did this one first. So this is addressing specifically the whole entity that already previously addressed plats 4 and 5, but it specifically breaks up 6, 2, 1A, and 3.
He's gone through the preliminary plat process already, and that had been approved what's changed a little bit is we did change some of the signature blocks, but in essence, the development plan has stayed the same.
Okay.
So I think we're just basically approving the preliminary plat with no changes.
We'll still have another time to go through to approve the final plat. There's really no reason for this being here then, if we're just saying, yeah, it looks good, it meets the 5 acres, but we aren't approving the plat because he doesn't want to plat.
No, we're not approving, this is not a final plat, this is
Right.
the preliminary plan,
Yes.
basically, is what we're doing.
Okay.
Yes,
And we
not-
already had one of those.
You had one of them
Okay.
previously, we're just making sure that he doesn't have any more road bumps in the road.
Okay.
And we just changed some of the signature blocks,
He has
making
the,
sure everything's covered.
he has the prerequisite 5 acres, plus he has access to the highway on the east.
Right.
The dimensions are the same when it shows the tracks for 4 and 5. So then the preliminary, they match, so it's more or less an administrative function.
So you need a motion or?
We need a motion. Any further discussion of planning commission, because we've already discussed this
We've got
before.
I have a question. So,
Yes.
with the preliminary plat, I was told previously that if the planning commission and the county commission approves the preliminary plat, and at, let's say 5 years down the road, I wanted to sell it, I would still have to get it platted, but I wouldn't have to come back through these two bodies to approve it again. Is that correct?
That is correct, because it's already, the history of it would be
Mr.
right
Gary
now.
told you that, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I'll refer back to Brian for professional opinion.
What if something happened like the road got changed by the state? Now this plat wouldn't be valid, we'd have to go back through this again.
Well, if you look at the bottom of the first plat you approved for him, that is what is required by DOT for a signature now.
Right.
So, and it says in there, if something were to change, they have to reapprove it. And that's not mandated on all plats.
Is that strictly because of the road right away, for the DOT?
Yep, maybe anything to grant access to this, and we've gone through that, and Mr. Matheson went and double checked that Rod Gall had a signature to get that access down to those easements, to make sure he still had access for additional traffic and so forth. He has the internal easements, so we're good on that end. You see if the road moves, it could, would, in your tract, 6 or whatever.
6.
Your access is gonna be where? Off
Well, there's already an access there that I share with Mike Cook, and he has track 2. We have this, that's where we both enter. He goes down his driveway and I go down mine. So the
That's
approach
right.
is already there.
That's the combination lot line between
It
the
is,
two
yeah.
and 6?
That's right where the approach sets. And that's the only approach they would give me off of there when I asked for it.
Because it's so many feet from the last one.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. So he said I had to share it with Mike, and Mike was fine with that, and I'm fine with it.
So would it seem like that this would be the preliminary plat that would be the record of the property even in 5 years from now? You concur, Butch?
Yeah, it appears that even the lines all follow the drainage and the trees and when you look at it on the.
Because of the confusion part, you know, and the transition between Pat and Brian, I think when we make the motion, that we would make the motion that would say, as drawn and submitted today, that we understand that this is the final plat, preliminary plat on this property, and if it changed, it would have to be readdressed.
Right, and considering the fact that you already have DOT approval for the driveway.
I do.
Okay. I think we can go ahead with it then.
Any motion?
We can approve what's in front of us, the preliminary.
I'll make the motion that we approve this as a preliminary plat and that it stays preliminary until he decides to sell.
With the understanding it still has to go through the county commission
Yeah, still has to go through the county
Just
commission.
one lot, though.
just for this lot.
Just for
Just
lot
lot
6,
six, yes.
track 6.
And later on. is it gonna go through the next meeting?
Well, my memory is correct, I think Pat told me, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Pat, that I thought he said if I go through preliminary plat, that has to get this body's approval, the county commission's approval, and then at that point, I don't have to come back through these two bodies. I do need to get a plat and, you know, register it with the courthouse, but I can make that sale without having to come back through both of these.
Right, because that's a preliminary plat right now. Then if you sold it, you have to identify that lot structure as it gets sold anyway, that is platted out separately. Because right now it's attached to something else you already have.
I think what you're talking about, you don't want to register it right now, it's registered deeds because your taxes.
Exactly.
That's what this is all
Right,
about.
it's staying ag.
So it is done,
Yes.
right, but if you don't sell it for years and years and years, you don't want your taxes to go up with the separate plat.
You got it.
So you just sit on this and don't lose it.
Yeah.
That's what he probably told you.
Yeah, that's exactly
I
right.
did the same thing. Put it in the safe, otherwise you'll be hiring another server.
So we have the motion from Jeff as a preliminary plat as submitted. Is there something else on that?
But it would have to go through the county commission.
As a,
Yeah,
That's normal.
Yeah.
That's normal, I mean, that's
Mr.
automatic.
Gudo made a motion that we accept the preliminary plat of Matt's and Track 6, correct?
Right, that's what I said.
That's basically, yeah.
I second that.
all right, roll call, Brian, please.
Okay. Williams,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Clemish.
Yes.
That's all. Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir, for coming and presenting.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, the next item we'll have on the agenda, if there's any administrative functions that we need to address, Brian. And then after that, we'll do public comment. And as a reminder for you guys in the attending civics, the next meeting is the second Tuesday of April, which is, I think, the 9th. And that will return to the usual time at 7 o'clock.
Mr. Chairman, I have something. I'd just like to thank Butch Becker, Carl Kreitzinger, Dan Guthmiller, and Jeff Goodall for their service to the county and the planning commission. And let's give them a round of applause for their service for the years. Thank you.
Adding to that, Dan, is county commission, one of the things I think that sometimes the people out in the county don't know all the things that other people are doing. Maybe as chairman of the county commission, you can put a little note in the paper and thank them, then other people recognize their service.
Good idea.
Public comment section. Has anyone signed up for public comment? All right. With that,
Motion to adjourn.
No, ask Brian if he's got anything else.
anything else, Brian?
Not at this time.
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Any second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, no opposition, motion passes.
12 years, done.